You've seen the headlines. Bitcoin's back, reaching those all-time highs again. By now, I've seen the peaks, the crashes, and the skepticism since I started my Bitcoin journey in 2017. I've weathered through all the eye rolls, the I told you so's, the judgmental comments. But now, after 7 years of ridicule and doubting looks, I'm here to answer the big question. Why am I still here, riding this epic roller coaster? And it's not just because Bitcoin's in the headlines. Bitcoin's going up forever, we all know that. But that's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this for you, my normie friends. I want you to know why I believe Bitcoin matters, not just for your financial life, but for the world as a whole. And if you're willing to stick to the end of this video, you just might see why. So let's get something straight. Bitcoin isn't exactly easy to understand. It's a relatively new concept compared to other asset classes. It is unlike anything we've seen before. And I get it, that's a little scary. Believe me, it scared me when I started 7 years ago. But like Michael Saylor said, once you start learning about it, it's a one-way street. You can't go back to the fiat standard. But hey, I'm not asking you to dive in head first. What I want is for you to start questioning what you think you know about money. So let's take it one step at a time. First off, what actually is money? Let's break it down into something we all get. Energy. Money is essentially financial energy. Every day you put in effort, mental energy, physical energy, whatever you do to make a living. And in return, you're paid for that energy. That paycheck you get each month, that's a store of your energy in financial form. Now think of the richest countries around the world. They accumulated their wealth, or energy, in different ways. Middle Eastern countries, oil energy. China, labor energy. The US, innovation, ideas, still energy. It all boils down to how much financial energy each of us, or each country, has stored up. Once you've got your financial energy, where do you keep it? That's the real question. You need a storage vessel for your hard-earned energy. So here's a scenario. If you had the choice, would you store your energy in a battery that leaks over time? Or would you choose one that's durable and holds that energy for as long as you need it? Here's where most of us, unfortunately, are losing. Because by holding on to cash, we're all opting for the leaky battery. Now let's talk about that leaky battery, cash. The problem with cash is that it's designed to lose value over time, thanks to something we call inflation. And inflation isn't just some mysterious number. It's literally the government printing more money and diluting what you already have. You might think, a little inflation's not that bad. But let's break down what this really means. Inflation is a silent, invisible tax that's eating away at your purchasing power every single year. It's not on your tax bill, but believe me, you're paying for it. All right, here's a way to think about this that'll hit home. Many of us feel like our assets are growing in value over time. Stocks, properties, our retirement portfolios, all seem to go up year over year, right? But let's pull back the curtain on this feel-good moment. Imagine you make a 10% gain on your investments this year. You pat yourself on the back, maybe even book that vacation you've been eyeing on for a while. But wait, if inflation climbs 7%, you actually only gain 3% in real purchasing power. Sure, the government tells you inflation is 2 to 3%, but let's be real. That's a best-case number that doesn't capture the rising costs of everyday life. Here's the kicker, though. What if we measured your gains in terms of Bitcoin instead of dollars? On a Bitcoin standard, even if your investment goes up, it might actually be going down in value. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about real estate, the so-called golden standard of stores of value. If you're a homeowner, you're probably thrilled about how much your property's appreciated over the last 5 years. But here's the inconvenient truth. 5 years ago, the average house cost about 40 Bitcoins. Today, it's about 5 Bitcoins. So in Bitcoin terms, your property lost almost 7 times its value. And this is real estate, the asset we were all taught to believe was the ultimate way to store wealth. Bitcoin gives you an unbroken ruler. If you measure your wealth in Bitcoin, something with a fixed supply that can't be inflated by government printing presses, you're looking at a real, honest measure of value. The moment you realize the dollar is a shrinking ruler, you see that all these assets haven't necessarily grown. They just look bigger compared to a currency that's constantly losing value. This is also why Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class measured in dollars over the past decade. outpacing every traditional investment by a staggering margin. And there's no sign of this rocket ship slowing down anytime soon. Or, as Michael Saylor put it in 2021, it's going up forever, Laura. Now let's talk about deflation. Jeff Booth, who's one of the sharpest minds on this topic, makes a crucial point. Our economy should actually be deflationary. Technology, every innovation we make, naturally drives down costs. Think about it. Every time you use your smartphone instead of separate devices like a camera, GPS, or music player, technology is saving you money. Every year, technology allows us to do more with less. That's what deflation looks like. More productivity, cheaper costs, better standards of living. But here's the irony. Our economy isn't designed to embrace this natural deflation. Instead, it's fighting it tooth and nail by pumping out more money to keep prices up, to force growth into a system that could actually sustain us just fine without it. Bitcoin aligns with this natural deflationary economy. Its fixed supply means it rewards efficiency and innovation, not the wastefulness of printing money whenever things get tight. Instead of losing value over time, Bitcoin allows you to store value, potentially even grow it, without constantly having to beat inflation to stay ahead. Now, this is how Bitcoin is vastly different from every other asset class. Bitcoin has a hard cap of 21 million coins. That's it. There's no way for anyone to print more or inflate its supply. This built-in scarcity is something no other currency offers. With each passing year, it gets scarcer, while fiat money just keeps getting diluted. Bitcoin isn't controlled by any one government, corporation, or individual. It's decentralized. And if you've ever wondered why banks, governments, and big institutions aren't thrilled about it, well, that's exactly why. Bitcoin puts financial control into the hands of individuals, not institutions or elites. Bitcoin was created in response to the 2008 financial crisis by an anonymous figure named Satoshi Nakamoto. He, or they, saw the rot at the core of the financial system and offered Bitcoin as a decentralized currency that couldn't be manipulated. Then Satoshi disappeared, leaving this tool for financial freedom to the world. This isn't just internet money. This is a call for independence from a broken system. Now here's a twist that might shock you. Everyone says Bitcoin is fake money, yet fiat currency, yes, the dollars in your pocket, is the real fake money. Let's take a trip back to 1971. When President Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard, suddenly the dollar was backed by nothing but trust. Since then, the government has been able to print money whenever it wants, with zero backing. It's literal monopoly money, but it has been the foundation of our entire economic system. Now, do you see why Bitcoin, with its finite supply and verifiable scarcity, feels a little more real? Governments, central banks, the IMF, they've been trying to stall Bitcoin adoption for years. The IMF even discourages countries from making Bitcoin legal tender. Regulators scrutinize it, and financial institutions tried to stop it in its early days. Why the resistance? Because those in power know that if you control money, you control the people. It's as simple as that. They want to keep you reliant on fiat currency, a currency they can manipulate, inflate, and use to fund whatever agenda they've got going. Bitcoin threatens that control by offering a currency they can't tamper with. But here's the fun part. Even the big players have finally started to wake up. Governments, corporations, and banks now realize that Bitcoin isn't going away. And instead of continuing to ignore it or fight it, they're trying to join the party. Companies are starting to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets, Bitcoin ETFs popping up left and right. And yes, now even countries are building Bitcoin reserves. Trump's administration has already promised to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And it's only a matter of time other countries will need to follow suit. Finally now, they understand that Bitcoin is, as an idea, as unstoppable as a virus. So what's the takeaway here? The power players are shifting gears, moving from attacking Bitcoin to trying to get their own piece of the pie. And if they're finally catching on, maybe it's time to ask yourself if you want to be one of the last people trying to play catch-up. Bitcoin adoption is accelerating, and it's not just retail investors like you and me. Companies, billionaires, and even entire nations are jumping in. Remember when companies wouldn't touch Bitcoin with a 10-foot pole? Now corporations and nations around the world are stacking Bitcoin like there's no tomorrow. Why? Because they see what we see. They recognize that Bitcoin is a robust vessel for storing financial energy, one that can outlast the inflating dollars in their corporate treasuries. This is no longer just a fringe investment. Bitcoin is making its way into the financial portfolios of major institutions and becoming part of national policy for some countries. In fact, countries like El Salvador and the Central African Republic have already made Bitcoin legal tender. They're ahead of the game, acknowledging the power of holding real, decentralized value that can't be diluted or seized by other countries' monetary policies. They're embracing a financial standard that no longer relies on the whims of superpowers. So, why is Bitcoin the ultimate store of value? Because it's scarce. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, and that's it. No bailout, no printing press, no executive order can change that. Every 4 years, the rate at which new Bitcoin is created is cut in half, a process known as the halving. This guarantees that over time, Bitcoin becomes even more scarce. Compare that to the dollar, which is continuously printed at the first sign of trouble. Bitcoin is decentralized, meaning no single person, government, or organization has control over it. Think of it as a monetary system, by the people, for the people. This is why it scares governments and banks. It's a network that can't be manipulated or shut down by any authority, and that independence gives it unparalleled resilience. Bitcoin's network is one of the most secure on the planet. Every transaction is recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain, which makes it transparent and verifiable. And here's the beauty of it. Everyone can see it, but no one can alter it. It's like a public vault where you can store your value with the security of military-grade encryption and the transparency of an open book. All right, so here's where I bring it all back home. My friends, if you're still measuring your wealth in dollars, you're using a broken, shrinking ruler. The longer you cling to it, the more of your financial energy seeps out. That's not me being dramatic. That's just the math of inflation and monetary policy. Bitcoin is offering a way out of that cycle, a way to store your energy in a vessel that won't leak. For years, I've watched some of you look at Bitcoin, dabble in it, but ultimately walk away, maybe thinking it was too risky or too complicated. But here's the bottom line. It's no longer a matter of if, but when you wake up to the reality of our financial system. Bitcoin adoption is happening at a parabolic rate, not just from retail investors, but from the giants of industry, from billionaires to governments. Right now, we're witnessing the largest wealth transfer of our generation, and most people have no idea it's even happening. With the new American regime eyeing on Bitcoin, they'll do what they know best: print more cheap, unlimited dollars to grab scarcer, more valuable Bitcoin. And every time they print another dollar, the cash in your pocket loses value. Every time they buy more Bitcoin, each Bitcoin gets that much more valuable. Essentially, the longer you wait, the more of your wealth quietly flows to those holding Bitcoin. It's happening whether we realize it or not. So the question is, which side of history do you want to be on? So, to my normie friends, I'll leave you with this. Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It's becoming the foundation of a new deflationary economy, one that offers fairness, stability, and freedom from the inflationary chaos we've been trapped in. It's not just about getting rich. It's about opting out of a system that's been designed to siphon value from us all. I'm not here to convince you that Bitcoin's the answer to every problem, but I am here to say that if you keep sleeping on it, you may be the only one left standing on a crumbling dollar while the world moves forward. The only question left is, are you going to catch this wave, or are you going to be left behind, watching everyone else ride it to the new financial standard? So if you're ready, let's get to work. Start learning, dive in, and remember, this is a one-way street. Once you understand Bitcoin, there's no turning back. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as I dive deeper into helping people preserve their financial energy. And to all you orange-pilled folks out there, share this with your normie friends and family. It's time to help them break free from the financial shackles of our system. More videos are on the way, so stay tuned. Catch you all in the next one.